J-Hope's artistry has always been one of the hardest to pin down in the industry. Tracing his roots to dancing, there seems to be a constant bop to the tunes that he writes. But he's also a monster in the rehearsal room that scares even his own group leader. His words are littered with positivity, but he also parties to the sins of Dionysus. He's a conundrum of sorts, and it seems he feels the same way about himself. It was evident in Jack in the Box documentary. Here are 10 moments in the documentary that explores J. Hope's own problems about his artistry and why he never bothered to solve it. Hi! Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. I would really appreciate it. And of course, don't forget to share the video as well. Recommend it to your friends, put a link on your social media, stuff like that. Okay, let's go back to the video. Knowing what you want to say is different from knowing how to say it. J-Hope knew who he was as an artist. He was certain of his place in BTS. He was the group's performance leader. It was his job to set the bar for their performances and his job to motivate everyone to reach that bar. He was a rapper, a lyricist, and a composer. Even after releasing his mixtape Hope World, he was certain there are several aspects of him he needed to get out. The problem lies in how to say it. When you have a million different emotions constantly frolicking with a million different thoughts, how do you move them in place for others to understand? Hope World. He said several times in the past that his name J-Hope made him. He took the essence of that name and lived it. But he was also hyper aware that it wasn't all that he was. The colors and the brightness of Hope World may be the base of his artistry, but there is so much more to the surface, and he needed to bring it out. According to him, 6 months after the release of Hope World, he already felt he needed to recover what he filtered out, the darker side. It wasn't necessarily a bad one, but a heavier one. It is that side of him that's not necessarily easy to understand. Or perhaps actually impossible to understand. And there's the rub. Why would you even bother to communicate something that no one will understand? 2 J-Hopes. Halfway through the documentary, I was struggling to understand the message it was trying to form. Unlike the usual chapter-like format of a documentary, where each main point is bookmarked, J-Hope's journey goes back and forth in timeline. Worse, it constantly shifts in messaging. Even visually, they would constantly show 2 J-Hopes in one screen. There's J-Hope perpetually moving on one half and J-Hope unmoving like a log in the other. In one scene, he even literally talked to himself and he responded. There's also a constant duality in thought and behavior, often in a matter of seconds. He would blurt out something with so much confidence and then pull it back the very next second. A clear example is when he wanted his Lollapalooza set to reflect Jack in the Box in its entirety. Before he pulls back and considers that Lollapalooza was as much about the armies as it was about him, because one can't exist without the other. While others push him to think of nothing but what he wants, there's a surrender in his eyes with the knowledge that no one around him at that very moment will understand that selfishness is not his authentic self, and that army will always be a part of him. The Agony of Art. If you don't know what you're watching, turning the audio off would make J-Hope look like a lunatic in crack. He's constantly demanding of himself the perfection he can't find in others. The weight on his shoulder was evident, but he couldn't stop putting more. From the listening party speakers to the transition of neon lights on stage, he compulsively tried to perfect every aspect of his promotions. But creating art is lunacy, and being a true artist is a voluntary act of diving to a permanent state of madness. Because art in its purest form can never be owned. You can put out a song and copyright them, but if someone takes it and reforms it to fit their own purpose, you'll never know. Creating art is like putting your heart out for the world to rip open, take apart, and consume. And that's how you know J-Hope is not just a real artist. He is a class all on his own. Just like a dancer. What's even harder is J-Hope's innate humility. I don't think big. I think taking smaller steps towards change is more feasible, he said. It's a little bit more boy next door, a little bit more pure, and a little bit more logical. But it gives you a glimpse of how J-Hope ended up being the anchor of BTS's day-to-day lives. He looks at a goal in terms of milestones. How he can get from point A to point B to point C until he reaches point Z. It's very much like dancing. You will never dance the whole routine unless you master each step. Choosing pain over comfort. I can be lazy, he said, but I still choose the pain of creation, and it's painful. Part of making art is hurting yourself. Writing about painful experiences means you will have to relieve the pain. Writing about the pain of others means sharing their pain. And he does it every day. His past coexists with his present and will remain constant in his future. Towards the end of the film, he was asked what's next for him. He said he had a purpose and a wish, and he wants to be able to move as close to the fulfillment of that as possible. J-Hope is the paragon of humility, practicality, and purity. He is living his life with a purpose, doing things to support this purpose, hoping it will result to something good. But he isn't obsessing over the result. He just wants to continue doing his best. And if in the end, he simply edges closer to his dream world, it will still be a mission fully accomplished. Destiny that he planned. J-Hope was asked whether he thinks him being there, a solo artist after making history as a member of BTS, now headlining a major festival, was destiny. He smiled and said it was destiny that he planned. Count on J-Hope to make something so realistic, immaculately poetic. Saying something is sheer destiny takes away the hard work they put in to make their dreams work. But he's also aware that no amount of hard work can hone him to become the artist that he is today at the level where he is today if he didn't have the raw talent to even hone. Think Whitney Houston and me. I can work my butt off to become the best singer I can be, take voice lessons from the best teachers, and devote my entire life to the craft. But no amount of hard work will make me a better singer than Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was born with the raw talent that she honed. I'm not born with any kind of talent, and hard work might make me a good singer, but it will never make me the best kind of singer, the kind Whitney is. J-Hope was born with incredible talent, which he worked hard on honing. It was destiny that he planned. Jack coming out of the box. Several times in the documentary, he wondered if he deserved what he was getting. The concert hall BTS performed in Red Bullet Tour, he was using as a rehearsal stage. In his first solo performance, he was headlining a music festival when he would have been fine being just one of the artists. But he didn't really provide a resolution to his thought. It seems whether or not he deserves it is not important, as was his ability to do it. Instead, he slowly unpacked the box. Everything he filtered out in Hope World. Everything new that he learned. Every message he wanted to convey, and carefully created the crossroads between what he wanted to do and what he thought he had to do. He decided to perform Dynamite because it was symbolic for himself, his team, and ARMY. But he also wanted to honor the song, so he decided not to rearrange it for a solo performance. Instead, he asked ARMY to sing so he could do what he does best, dance. He performed the dark tones of Jack in the Box and the bright tones of Hope World. He stretched his limits by embarking on a foreign gig, but closed his promotions with ARMYs back home. It wasn't anymore a question of whether or not he deserved what he was getting. It was a question of how much he wants to put out. and how he can best present it. J, Hope, and Jack are the same person. His last song in the documentary featured him in white, singing Future. I felt so stupid not getting the whole point of this documentary when he so clearly stated it from the very start. J, Hope, and Jack are the same person. He is the bright person singing all things jolly in Hope World. And he's also the dark, sinister artist who burns everything that touches him. He is the worldwide icon and a filial son. He is a fulfilled solo artist and a seventh of a group whom he loves and finds comfort in. He's a celebrity and a fan, a master of his craft and a student of art. And maybe that's the takeaway for us. We don't have to be one or the other. We could be independent and happy to be alone, and also be a devoted partner to someone. We could be faithful to our God and be open to other people's faith. We could be a great artist and a great 8 to 5 employee. We could live a life of privacy and welcome people in our life. We could love technology and love the environment. We could pursue money and pursue substance. It's all up to us what we become. We just need to pursue it. We just need to give it our best. Just like what J. Hope said, we have a destiny that we need to plan. I would love to hear your thoughts, your take on it. Let me know if there are some things you disagree with, things that you agree with, or if there's anything that you want to share with us. Please leave them in the comment section below, or you can get in touch with me in any of the social media links that you see on your screen right now. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and share the video if you can. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Till next time.